Hi friends, welcome to Reading with Mrs. King. Today's story is different than a lot of our other stories because this book is non-fiction. Now remember, fiction is pretend and imaginary creation. Non-fiction is real. It teaches information. So this book is going to be teaching us more information rather than entertaining us like a fiction book. Let's jump in. This is called Weapons of the Vikings. Ooh. Swords flashed in the sunlight. Viking raiders rushed through a village. They grabbed valuables and burned buildings. Raider, that means it's someone who makes a sudden surprise attack on people. Vikings were warriors and explorers from northern Europe. They raided European villages between the years of 700 and 1100. Their fierce weapons helped them take whatever they wanted. Weapon fact: the Vikings sailed to North America almost 500 years before Christopher Columbus. Hand-in-hand combat. Only the richest Vikings had swords. They were the most expensive and prized Viking weapon. Their double-edged blades hacked through enemy armor. Weapon fact: many Viking warriors name their swords. A sax was a cutting tool that doubled as a sword. It was a long knife with a single-edged blade. A curved sax was called a scramasax. Sax and sheath. Spears were the most common Viking weapon. They had long wooden shafts and iron heads. Warriors thrust heavy spears into enemies. They threw lighter ones. Shaft, that's the long, narrow rod of a spear. Head, the blade and the top end of a spear. Weapon fact: skilled warriors could not throw two spears at once. Oh, they could. Let me read that again. Weapon fact: skilled warriors could throw two spears at once. Battle axes sliced through enemies with amazing force. A Viking battle axe had an iron blade on a wooden handle. Some battle axes were small. Others were as tall as a man. Whew! Vikings shot arrows from wooden bows. Sometimes they added cloth soaked in tar to arrow tips. They then lit the cloth on fire to shoot flaming arrows. Handheld weapons. Ooh, look at all of those. Legendary longships. Viking longships could be powered by sails or rowers. A longship was sturdy enough for the open sea, but it was small enough to travel alongside coasts and rivers. Weapon fact: Vikings sometimes carved their heads of beasts onto the fronts of their ships. Ooh, and make them kind of look scary. A longship could carry 50 warriors or more. Dozens of ships would travel together. These fast ships could sneak up on a village. Then warriors ran ashore to raid the village. Weapon fact: Viking enemies called longship dragon ships. So they would call them dragon ships. Viking protection. A Viking warrior counted on strong armor to protect him. Rich warriors wore expensive chainmail shirts. Others wore armor made of leather. Chainmail. a type of armor made of woven metal chains, just like in that picture there. Weapon fact: armor made of reindeer skin was sometimes stronger than chainmail. Vikings wore helmets made of iron or leather. Helmets were shaped like simple caps. Some helmets had nose guards, but none had horns. That is a common myth. A myth is a false idea that many people actually believe. Round wooden shields protected Vikings in battle. A round piece of iron was placed in the center of each shield. The iron protected a warrior's hand. A warrior's weapons were important to him. Many warriors were buried with their weapons. Scientists have learned a lot about Vikings by studying their graves. Durable defenses: chainmail, shield, leather armor, leather helmet. And like many nonfiction books, this has a glossary and gives you some resources to learn a little bit more. Now, when we learn about Vikings, we can kind of see what they did wasn't safe and it wasn't good for a lot of people, and that's why we don't have Vikings anymore. It's important to learn about history, about the good things and the bad things, so that we know in the future not to do the bad things. So I hope you had an interesting time reading our nonfiction book, Weapons of the Vikings. Keep reading, friends. Bye!